Listen, we appreciate that one Zach Bryan song and what Tiger King did for us in 2020. But outside of that, Oklahoma sucks. Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? It is Friday. It is prediction day. We have a special afternoon happy hour episode like we do every single Friday. It is just now hitting me going into Game 7 and Week 8. Probably should have been doing these earlier in the day, and you guys could have them for your morning drive, but that's a misstep by me. We'll figure it out next week. I tell you what else we're going to figure out next week. South Carolina will be going on a bye, and we should be celebrating a win. I'm very excited about it. We will get to that here shortly. The first thing we're going to celebrate is our everyday listeners. Thank you for listening to Locked On Gamecocks each and every day, making it your first listen. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, guys, we are a free and available podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and as well as on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. You guys have heard me talk about them a lot. You're going to hear me talk about them a lot more today because we got some picks to go on the show. But make sure you get on over to FanDuel.com if you haven't already. And I don't know what you've been waiting on, but if you haven't already, get on over there, sign up. Your first $5 bet gets you $200 in bonus bets, and we're going to win some money this weekend with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Let's get into the show. It is time for Oklahoma slander. It is time for game previews and predictions. It's Friday. We're less than 24 hours till kick. And I have news for you guys. I came on here yesterday. And told you one thing and one thing only. I think it's the title of the show. The wrong team was favored. Okay? The wrong team was favored between South Carolina and Oklahoma. I know what you guys are thinking. This guy, what does he know? Huh? He wears those red hats, sometimes red shirts. They kind of look orange. Don't love that. Been fighting with him all summer on it. He just now finally started wearing clothes that we don't hate. I hope you don't hate this. I love the shirt. There's dogs on it. Who doesn't love dogs? Here's the thing. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. Yesterday's show was titled "The Wrong Team is Favored in South Carolina, Oklahoma." Today, our friends at FanDuel and some other sportsbooks across the country and out in Vegas, they must have listened to the show, because the line has moved. The line has moved. South Carolina is now favored by 1 point on the road going to Oklahoma. I told you all on Monday. I said it on Tuesday and last week as well. If the logos weren't on the helmets for these two teams, I honestly think, even on a neutral side especially, I think South Carolina would be favored by a touchdown. That's how bad I think this thing is a mismatch. I really do. We got into the numbers. We'll get into some of the numbers again. I'm telling y'all, man. I'm telling y'all right now, I said the wrong team was favored. South Carolina has a chance to go into Oklahoma tomorrow and really, really leave with a statement win, okay? A statement win. And I know y'all are fired up. I'm fired up as well. I got to make sure I'm leaning into this microphone because listen back on some of the feedback. Sometimes I'm moving too far away. It's just real dumb. Listen, I want you to envision a world here where South Carolina is 5-2. You have a loss at Bama, right? 5-2? No. Why did you say they're 4-2 in this? Oh, I'm dumb. It's against the spread. It's very confusing. I want you to picture a world where South Carolina leaves this game 4-3. Okay? Winning record. Got a big win in October. You got a big win in September. You'll figure out one in November. But if you leave this game on the road at Shane Beamer's old stomping grounds, you have further put yourself in a situation where it's like, this team is not effing around. This is a good football team. We can sit here and look at all the stuff, oh, man, all the turnovers and Sellers and how bad the second half offense was against LSU and whatever the hell happened against Ole Miss and all that kind of stuff. But it's Friday. We are riding a wave of confidence to go into tomorrow. I'm telling you, I've said it all week. South Carolina is like, this is not a, I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm not trying to tell you, oh man, like, I just really, I think our favorite team is going to win tomorrow. No, South Carolina is the better team, y'all. I don't think a lot of us thought we would say that going into this season, but Saturday, I mean, South Carolina is the better team. Here, I'll go a step further. That's kind of crazy, especially when you talk about the logos on these helmets. South Carolina has the better quarterback. LaNorris Sellers hasn't been a world beater by any means, but listen, you take what he did last week, career high in passing yards, 74% completion percentage, commanded a 2-minute offense, right, to go down there and tie it up. I mean, this team has no quit. They have a quarterback that is learning week by week, honestly, series by series, and getting better. Dowell Loggins, I already had to apologize to him once. He had a great interview that somebody posted on Twitter earlier today it was about 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Him talking about LaNorris. He brought up a good point. He's like, listen, like Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions his rookie year in the NFL. 28. Right? It took him 7 years to win a playoff game. Like, sometimes it takes time. LaNorris Sellers is in like start 5 of his career, start 6 of his career. Getting better and better and better. Sometimes it takes a minute. They're going to go on the road and they're going to face some loud noise, but it's not a night game. You don't have all day to get all good and lubed up. That's probably not the phrasing we wanted to use right now with the Diddy stuff, but I mean, you don't have all day to be drinking and getting rowdy and all that kind of stuff. Oklahoma's not a good football team. They're not. Maybe they win and they prove me wrong on this, and I'm an idiot, and their fans can come in our comments, and that's also phrasing. Like they come out here and tell me how stupid I am and whatever. Maybe that happens. I don't know. It's happened before. But I think if you ask any rational fan going into the game, they're not a good football team. I'm not saying South Carolina's going to play for a national championship. What I am saying is they're a better football team, and it starts the defense. So that is the start of this show. Okay? I want you to lock in, get pumped. Up next, we are going to talk about the key matchups, what we need. We've brought this up before. I brought up the turnover battles. We brought up all that stuff, right? We'll get into the matchups, the things that South Carolina is going to have to do, the keys to victory for Saturday. We will get into a prediction, and then we'll get into our best bets, and we will light this effing candle. I'm fired up, man. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow. Early kick, right? I think it's at 12:45 Eastern time. I'm in Eastern time. Most of y'all are in Eastern time. But 12:45, there's comments I've seen on Twitter. I don't know how realistic they are, but there's comments on Twitter because Gamecock Twitter is hilarious. It's so good. Saying that they are taking over the streets of Norman. Well, thank God. It's either that or tornadoes. It's just, listen, I left this at the beginning. I shouldn't have. Outside of Tiger King and what was the other one I said? That one Zach Bryan song? I also left out the movie Twisters. Twister is great. Twisters is also good. Not as good as Twister. But outside of that, what are we? Just terrible. Just terrible. Not a ton going on over there. Now, I'll tell you who does have a lot going on. Not the transition I was hoping for. I'll say that. Who does have a lot going on is our friends at Hims. You guys heard me talk about this yesterday. We're going to talk about it again. It might be a little bit uncomfortable for some, but it's not if you are a friend of Hims. And they are doing, listen, we joke around a lot on the show. They do a phenomenal, phenomenal job in terms of preaching and teaching about men's health and especially men's sexual health. And here's the thing, guys, sometimes intimate moments, they happen spontaneously. And here's the other part too, okay? Sometimes you might feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom, okay? It's time you stop worrying about your performance and get Hims so you can feel confident knowing you can get hard and stay hard whenever you're in the mood. Here's the deal. Hims, like I already told you, is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints. Do you get the pun? Because I love it. There it is. And Viagra and Cialis. And their generics for up to 95% cheaper. Making it easy to get hard in this economy. There you go. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That is HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. Now, also remember, the products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Go to hims.com today and get started. All right, we've already gotten started. We're going to keep it going. My neck hurts. We're going to keep it going and get into the keys of the South Carolina-Oklahoma game right after this. Locked On Gamecocks continues next. Tough scene. All right. I want to find some. It feels like I'm in heaven right now with the sunlight. Just very bright. Oh, there we go. Could have done it the whole time. What do you know? All right. Let's get into the matchups that are important for this game. And let's start with where we always have to start. And that's fine. Let's get into it. Okay. We're going to start with turnovers. You have to win the turnover battle if you're Shane Beamer. Remember, brought the setup last week. I'm going to bring it up again. 19-6 when even or winning the turnover battle. 19-6, 76% winning percentage. You're 3-15 when you don't. Any of our math majors out there? Tell you what 3 out of 15 is? It's 16.67 repeating percent. All right? 3-15. Not great. So you have to at least finish even or better. Now, here's the good news. You're going up against a team in Oklahoma that they do force a lot of turnovers. Okay, I think they lead the league in forced turnovers. So like that is something that's going to be tough. But here's the thing. Okay, let me look this up real quick. Make sure I'm good here. Not a team that's turned over a ton. They have 7 total turnovers. They've forced 14, which is the most in the SEC. 14 total turnovers, and they got 6 of those in the first week. Okay, so they've got 8 in the last 5. Very normal amounts after that. But they have lost a total of 7. So you have to figure out a way to make this a staple. They've only thrown 3 interceptions. They don't throw the ball a ton, but they also just don't do a lot well on offense. They just don't. Michael Hawkins Jr. is a true freshman and quarterback. He's in for Jackson Arnold. Here's the weird thing about this, too, and I don't think it's been talked about enough because Brent Venables brought it up this week earlier in his press conferences, and it could be coach speak, it could be whatever, but it's not being talked about enough. And here's the thing. You guys have seen this. We had a whole show on it a couple weeks ago. This day and age with the portal and everything like that and the redshirt rules, right? The redshirt rules, you can sit out like the rest of the season, and as long as you haven't played in more than 4 games, you can still redshirt. Gone are the days when it's like, well, you played in 1 game, you're done for the year. Like, you can play up to 4 games and still redshirt for the following year. Okay? Jackson Arnold has played in 4 games. He is the guy that was the former 5-star quarterback, number 1 dual threat quarterback, I think, in the entire country. An elite quarterback coming in. It's one of the reasons why, whether they'll admit it or not, it's one of the reasons why they were okay with letting a guy like Dylan Gabriel go to Oregon. He is still on this roster. I believe, unless it was just a different person with the same number, I believe he was a captain last week in the Oklahoma-Texas game. From all accounts, he's been a tremendous teammate, and that's awesome. Like, that is really good to hear. I'm not knocking Jackson Arnold at all. He had a tough start to the season. Might just need more time. It's a weird situation, though, guys, because here's the thing. It's not like they replaced him with his backup who was a senior or a junior or whatever. It's a true freshman. He's even younger than Jackson Arnold. So if you're Jackson Arnold, are you going to stay? And if you play, again, if you play the rest of the year, you can't redshirt. Like, you're going to lose a year of eligibility. So I think that part is kind of interesting because you have a true freshman quarterback, Michael Hawkins, who let's just be very honest, he's going to struggle with this defense. This is the best defense he's faced. Hands down. Point blank, period. It is the best defense he has faced this weekend. Now, here's the other thing, okay? Let's see here. I'm looking at points per game. South Carolina is like 10th at 20.3 points per game. That's also when they've played LSU, played Alabama, played Ole Miss. Those are not only offenses that are high scoring. Those are offenses that when you look at the numbers nationally, I'm just going down the list here. Bama's 10th in the country. Ole Miss is 11th in the country. LSU is 31st in the country. So basically two offenses in the top 11 nationally in scoring, 3 in the top 31. That's the only reason why those numbers are down. This is the best defense he has faced. It's the best defense he has faced. You look at the numbers he's put up, and I'm looking at. I'll look at passing specifically. Okay, passing specifically. This like Clayton White and this defense have done such an incredible job. I'm looking at quarterback rating. Okay, they are 3rd in the SEC in opponents' quarterback rating, just barely 1 point behind Ole Miss. They've given up 5 touchdown passes. They have 8 interceptions. The 8 interceptions, guys. The 8 interceptions leads the entire conference. How about completion percentage? 56.0 completion percentage. It's the second lowest in the entire conference. You look at Oklahoma, by the way, 62.4. Not great. Not great at all. How about yards per attempt? Yards per attempt, South Carolina, 6.5 yards per attempt allowed. Okay? Oklahoma, 7.8. South Carolina, to put this in perspective, I've said this repeatedly over and over and over again. South Carolina's a top 5 defense. The numbers I just read to you, all of them rank in the top 5. All of them. Yards per attempt, completion percentage, passer rating, interceptions. Outside of the yards per attempt, which ranks 4th, the other ones I read are all top 3 or top 2 or lead the conference. like this is how good this team has been defensively. Oklahoma, yards per attempt allowed 7.8. They've allowed 8 touchdown passes. That's the 3rd most in the entire conference. I mean, guys, like yards per game allowed through the air, 13th in the conference, 220. I mean, this is not a good defense, right? For Oklahoma. South Carolina can go in here. You have to turn them over, and you got to make them uncomfortable. I also think this. Here's the other key, and it kind of goes without saying, but cannot get yourself in a short field position. One of the only reasons why Oklahoma beat Auburn. Okay, you got to think about this. When they brought in Michael Hawkins Jr., true freshman, it was against Tennessee, and they were down however many points when they brought him in the second quarter. Right? They lost that game 25-15. I want to say it was like 25-3 at one point. Like, it wasn't super close, and they scored some late. I could be wrong with that, but it doesn't really matter. He got a couple of, in my opinion, garbage time touchdowns against a good team, but it was at home, right? Then you go on the road against Auburn. He has a 48-yard scramble. You have to limit his scrambling. You cannot let him. I don't even think if he scrambles, he's going to hurt you necessarily through the air. I think if you let him scramble, you just can't let him score. Like, they did a great job with Jalen Milroe last week. A great job. Okay. Did a phenomenal job being able to keep him bottled up. So there's that. The other thing, so you look at what they were able to do, like what this defense was able to do last week. Have to make sure you're doing the exact same thing in terms of limiting the big plays. Bama came in with like a bunch of chunk plays, and that was like kind of their MO on offensive deep shots. They took him out of that early. Now, here's the good news. I told you last week you had to bracket Ryan Williams and make sure he didn't hurt you. I mean, like, Oklahoma's like 4 of their top 5 guys are still out at receiver. They are extremely thin. Extremely thin. Okay? It's like Beamer's hairline. I don't care how that sounds. I love you, Shane. Just ribbing you. But it is extremely thin. Okay? Now, here's the deal. Got to limit any sort of long chunk plays, and you have to make sure they don't flip the field. I'm not super concerned about the special teams. I do think South Carolina obviously has better special teams than them. But, like, here's the thing that I'm almost scared to say out loud. Dude, the teams that South Carolina has played really well are all not just a little bit better than Oklahoma, they're significantly better than Oklahoma. Bama, LSU, those are significantly better teams than Oklahoma. You could make the case so is Kentucky. And here's another thing that I think people really don't understand, especially at Oklahoma. They keep thinking this is like, they're going to come in and Boomer Sooner and the crowd's going to go in. They got those fake guns, pow, pew, pew, whatever. They're going to be all fired up on that. It's going to be an 11:45 a.m. start. Beamer's going to have them ready. Will Venables? Do we even know if Venables is a good coach? And here's the thing. In the past, going into the season, I would have told you, oh, man, I think we all even looked at this game as like, probably going to be a loss. South Carolina on the road against an Oklahoma team that's, they're ranked. They're going to be good. All the preconceived notions that we had about this team going into the season. Guys, Beamer was really bad on the road. I think he was like 2-10 in SEC road games, something like that, to start the season or going into the season. I think that's what it was. Well, he gets a 25-point win on the road to Kentucky, and he has a 2-point loss against Alabama on the road against a top 10 team. This is not the same South Carolina team. It's not the same Shane Beamer. And those things are thrown out the window, just like all the stuff we thought positively. I hate to say it about Oklahoma. I'm not trying to be biased, but all the positive stuff we thought about Oklahoma, that's out the window. Control them. Make sure you keep them in the pocket, and make sure you don't give up any busted plays, which they haven't done. That's not what South Carolina does. Here's the other part too, guys. Oklahoma, I told you this the other day, from a stat standpoint, their 20-plus yard plays, they have 13 all season in 6 games. If that sounds low, it's because A, it is. B, South Carolina has double that this year. And C, it is low because it's the last in the SEC and also the second to worst in the entire country. Limit big plays. They already don't do them in the first place. Now I'm going to get fired up. Limit big plays. Make sure you are just keeping him bottled up. Get to his ass, because here's the other part too. I told you this before. They had to replace that entire offensive line from a season ago. They do not protect the quarterback well. These are the 2 worst offensive lines statistically in the conference. The 2 worst. Oklahoma, here, I'll pull it up again. Sacks allowed this season. South Carolina at 26 is by far the most in the SEC. Right behind them, Oklahoma, 20. 20. How about tackles for loss? Getting in the backfield. South Carolina, 53. A ton. Okay? Oklahoma, 43. 63 total. 63 total. It's not good. 63 total sacks and tackles for loss allowed. Now, here's the thing. This defensive line and this defense should eat this weekend. And I mean just absolutely eat. Okay, listen, a season ago you had 21 total sacks. Remember I told you would pass this pretty early. You have 19 right now. Oklahoma also has 19, so they need to make sure you keep them out of the backfield. A lot of that's brought with more pressure, just to be honest. You have a chance to get in the backfield all damn day and live there. And here's the thing. For the first time in a long time, you have more weapons than Oklahoma. You got a better running back, got a much better defense, got a better quarterback. Guys, what does this whole product look like? Just hear me out. Close your eyes, unless you're driving, don't do that. Close your eyes, though, and think about what you've seen so far from this team this year. We know the defense is going to show up. We know special teams is going to be only a positive for South Carolina, and they are usually going to win that battle every week. We know that. We know that. What if, and again, hear me out, what if Sellers just doesn't have a turnover? Do they win Saturday? Yup. How many teams beat this team in the SEC if he doesn't have a turnover? Maybe the Ole Miss. I mean, the Ole Miss game seems like a loss, right? Things got away from you early. Sure. If he doesn't have a turnover against Bama, they beat Bama. If he doesn't have a turnover against LSU, they beat LSU. You're talking about a 5-1 difference. I'm just saying, what if after a half a season of him being a starter, what if he's grown up? What if it's one turnover? What if it's one interception that he throws up on a deep ball, not like a didn't see this person coming and I fumbled and now they have the ball at our own 38? What if it's a non-consequential turnover? What does this team look like? They're close to turning that corner. So there you go. All right. We have a quick little episode. Nope. Chris talked too much. Again, here we go. Let's get into one last part of the show right after this. I appreciate you guys listening, man. This is a fun Friday. We are excited. Before we get into the very final part of the show, I do want to talk to you one more time about our friends at FanDuel, and I'm gonna do it like we did last week. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a tease and a little bit of a taste of what you should be betting on to win some money. Now, FanDuel is a phenomenal sports book. And here's the thing. That not only are they America's #1 sports book, but if you're an NFL fan, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. I keep saying this, and I get excited, like nerding out when I say it. If you are like me at all, okay, and you want to have as much information as possible before you hit send or place bet or whatever, or if it's just you want to talk ball with your friends, your buddies, coworkers, or the pastor at church on Sunday, I don't know, right? FanDuel is exactly where you should be because it's a one-stop shop for everything you could possibly need in-game, betting or not. And the betting is just an added bonus, and they do it better than anyone else in the country. It's America's #1 sportsbook for a reason, but here's the thing. You get a hunch in the middle of a game. Again, like that's sometimes you find the best value, right? Like what if Oklahoma scores first or something like that? Do I still think that South Carolina's going to win? Yep, right. But the line might move. A live line might move more in favor to where you get even better odds. Go to FanDuel, check it out. You get a hunch in the middle of a game. You can check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play and so much more on the same exact page where you're placing your bets. It is awesome. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. When we come back, we are going to talk about our best bets, our picks, and a pick for South Carolina and score prediction for South Carolina, Oklahoma. We'll be right back on Locked On Gamecocks. Oh, drank from the girlfriend's cup, and that was not good. Ugh. That was water. What the hell was that? Anyway, let's get into the picks. South Carolina, Oklahoma. I don't want to beat around the bush too long because I already done that, and I'm long-winded as you guys all know. But here's the thing. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Oklahoma sucks. They're not a good team. They're just flat out. Let's just call a spade a spade. They got a true freshman quarterback going up against the best defense he's going to face all year. They also they get a home game, but it's before noon. They got a brunch kickoff with the Sooners, brunch with Brent, and Bill and Brent Venables at the what do you call it at Memorial Stadium or whatever it's called in Norman. Home field advantage is not super big at 11:45. Everyone knows that, no matter where you are. Okay, let's see what else. They have a decent defense, but they don't rank anywhere super high. If you can figure out a way to get them out of the backfield, make sure they're not like racking up a ton of sacks, then you should be good. There's nothing that they do this season that they do better than you at all. And why I think that's a big deal is because it's easy to look at stuff and be like, oh, man, we're going up against mighty Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They didn't flinch last week, even down 14-0. We're going up against mighty LSU. Remember, they're always in it for the national championship and you know, and won the Heisman last year and 2 in the last 5 years or whatever. Didn't flinch there either. Like, South Carolina's not going to be scared. They're not going to be intimidated. They're going to go into this game better prepared, better coached, and they have the better team. Like, again, I know that sounds a little bit crazy because of what we know historically from these two teams, but if you take away the logo on the helmet, this is not me being a homer or a sunshine pumper or any of that. South Carolina is the better team. Flat out. Point blank effing period. South Carolina is the better team. They're going to go. I told you this week, hey, guys, the wrong team is favored. This is ridiculous. If this is on a neutral site, they'd be favored by 7. Home field advantage is worth what in college? 6 points? The line has shifted from 4 points. And Oklahoma's a 4-point favorite on Sunday. It is now Friday. They're a 1-point underdog to South Carolina, who's 3-3. Not 5-1 South Carolina. Not 6-0 South Carolina. 3-3 South Carolina, who's lost 2 games in a row. 3 FBS games in a row, right? Like, they're a 1-point underdog at home. I got news for you. Home field advantage is worth 6 points in college. They're a 1-point underdog. South Carolina's a 7-point favorite. I don't always get it right, but I nailed this one, okay? South Carolina's a better team. Don't turn the football over. Turn the corner, and let's go into November with a winning record and a chance to get to a bowl, because no one thought that was going to be capable outside of those 4 effing walls in that locker room. Get them ready to go. Get them fired up. South Carolina is going to win this football game. They are going to win this football game. Final score, 26. Final score, 23-17. 23-17, South Carolina. You're the better team. Go win a damn ball game. No excuses. Go win the game. Go win a ball game. Okay? Come back to Columbia 4-3. Get ready for the bye week. Let's close this season out right. Okay? I think they have a bye week, right? I keep saying it with more and more conviction. I'm pretty confident they do. All right. That is the show for today. Real quick, I want to tell you, I brought up our friends at FanDuel. Best bets for this weekend. Okay? And you know I've done my research. You know I've done my deep dive. Let's go. Friday night. Let's start here. It's not an SEC game, but hear me out if you want to make some money. Purdue is awful. Purdue is playing Oregon. I don't want you betting on the 30.5-point spread. I don't even really want you betting on the first half spread, even though I love a first half spread, and I kind of like this one. It's Oregon minus 16.5. They're on the road. It's a Friday night in Purdue. It's a scary spot for some. I think Purdue has more home upsets as an unranked team against top 2 teams in the country. So Purdue has upset. When Purdue's unranked, they have upset and won more games against teams ranked number 1 or 2 in the country than any other team in college football by more than double. They've done it 9 times. That's not going to happen, and we don't need them to. All we need, Purdue to not score a point in the first quarter, and let me tell you why it's not going to happen. They're awful. Like, they are awful. They are one of 2 teams, one of 2 in the entire country that has not scored a point against an FBS opponent in the first quarter of a game this season. They're only one of 2. Last week, they scored 49 points. 49! To put that in perspective, the previous 4 games combined, they only scored 44. They scored 49 last week. 46 of it came in the second half and overtime. 46. Purdue under a half point in the first quarter tonight against Oregon. For Saturday, you already know I'm on South Carolina. I got them at plus 1.5. Okay, and I just took the money line as an underdog. Now they're favored. It's minus 115. But I like that. I also love LSU to cover 2. I also love Texas to score first. I think right now it's at minus 160. I got Texas to score first. They have a better offense. Georgia notoriously slow starts. I think they're like 99th in the country in first quarter scoring per game. Texas is ranked, I think, 13th overall in first quarter points per game at around 9.3 or 9.4 points per game. So I like Texas to score first. Also like Tennessee to score first. That one not as confident in. If I was ranking these, Purdue under to not score in the first half, or I'm sorry, first quarter. So that's 1. 2, Texas score first. That line for Georgia has trickled up to 5. I do like Georgia to cover that, as much as I hate to say it. I like them to cover that. I like LSU to cover 2. So let's do a 4-pack this week, okay? Those are your 4 best bets. Your 4 best bets to get South Carolina their 4th win as well in the SEC or in college football. Purdue, they will not score a point in the first quarter. That's number 1. 2, Georgia covering 5 to 5.5 points. Texas scoring first. LSU money line or LSU -2. Pick your poison. Go to FanDuel.com today. Enjoy it. Listen, love you guys. Let's have a great freaking weekend. Please be safe. Please have fun. If you're in Norman, have a blast. Send us pics, all the good stuff. Go Cox, Cox by 90. We will see y'all tomorrow after the game.